The World Register is an independent news source. Our goal is to be a leading provider of truthful, unbiased, and timely reporting about people, places, and events. We currently use other news outlets to provide content and are not responsible for their version of events. Reuters news agency reports that the United States wants to cut $1 billion from the total United Nations peacekeeping budget to shave over 10% off Washington's share of the bill, following calls by President Donald Trump for U.S. funding to be slashed. The U.S. proposal of an annual budget of $6.99 billion was the lowest made, which is nearly $1 billion less than UN Chief Antonio Guterres' proposal and almost $570 million less than the recommendation by the UN's budget advisory experts. The proposal by the largest UN contributor is an opening bid in negotiations by the 193-member General Assembly Budget Committee, which has to agree on funding for 13 peacekeeping missions and a logistics support office by the end of June. In another report by Reuters news agency, Greece's parliament approved on Friday reforms demanded by the country's international lenders to conclude a long-stalled review of its bailout progress and qualify for more loans needed to repay debt maturing in July. On June 15th, Eurozone finance ministers will meet in Luxembourg to discuss Greece's reform progress and measures to reduce its debt. Labor Minister Efi Aksioglou told ministers before the vote, quote, "It's clear that Greece has fulfilled its promises and met its obligations. It has already done more than it was supposed to, and it's now the lenders and our partners' turn to meet their commitment," unquote. After 7 years of crisis, Greece's debt stands at 180% of their GDP. And Breitbart News Network reports today that a report from Open Doors Served and Middle East Concerns entitled Understanding Recent Movements of Christians from Syria and Iraq shows that since 2011, Christians living in much of the Middle East had experienced an overall loss of hope for a safe and secure future, which has driven the majority to flee their homeland in search of safety for themselves and their families. The report also states that for the many Christians who have resettled elsewhere, there are few incentives to return to their countries of origin. Several respondents stated that the Middle East is no longer a home for Christians. Although exact figures are unavailable, it is estimated that currently there are only 200,000 to 250,000 Christians remaining in Iraq. In the 1990s, 1.4 to 2 million Christians lived in Iraq. Many of the Christians remaining in Iraq are displaced internally. In Syria, estimates suggest that prior to 2011, approximately 8 to 10% of the Syrian population was Christian, meaning some 1.7 to 2.2 million people. Estimates of the Christian population in Syria range from 1.4 million all the way down to 800,000, meaning that somewhere between 300,000 and 1.4 million have left the country. Reports from the province of Al-Hasaka, home to a historic Christian population, state that over half the population has left, which is around 75,000 people, although some of these may have relocated within Syria itself. Many choose internal displacement over emigration due to the financial cost of leaving the country, which can be prohibitive. The factors for leaving offered by interviewees included the violence of conflict, the near-complete destruction of some historically Christian towns, the emigration of others and consequent loss of community, the rate of inflation and loss of employment opportunities, and the lack of educational opportunities.